Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Annie, and this is Unity Consciousness. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'd like to welcome our new subscribers and also thank those of you who are joining us this week and have been for quite some time. I welcome you back this week. We have a very busy week ahead, so let's jump right in. We spoke about today's energies, so we'll just touch on it. Today, the Sun in the sign of Cancer is going to square Neptune, as well as Mars, which is in the sign of Virgo, is going to sextile Jupiter. On one hand, we have this we're taking very practical steps that seem optimistic. We've got great hope. And then that Sun in Cancer energy can bring up some fear-based emotions. It is offering us a choice point to remain centered in ourself, tap into our emotional grace as situations, especially if we're judging those situations on the surface, they are creating strife. We want to take ownership of our choices, make sure we're not judging situations from a place of this is the way it's always been, so this is the way it's always going to be. Connect with your heart and your own unique pure essence at this time. Tomorrow, which is Monday, that same Sun in Cancer is going to square Neptune in Aries. So again, another choice point requiring emotional grace. Be real for certain. There could be disillusionment that comes in. There could be disappointment that comes in. We want to be real in all aspects, but watch for emotional identity crises here, because this could be very triggering energy in that respect. Then on Tuesday, we will have Chiron, which is at 26 degrees of Aries, and Eris, our street fighter, which is very near at 25 degrees of Aries. And again, Chiron is the wounded healer. In the sign of Aries, it's not being seen and heard. And then you have the street fighter almost in conjunction, literally 1 degree apart, are going to square Mercury in Cancer. And this is it's very painful energy. It could be very triggering energy. We want to ease the suffering. Mercury's in the sign of Cancer. We want to ease the suffering of those who are wounded, of those who are being wounded. We could be triggered by past wounds here and wanting to speak out about it. Just be mindful, please, of your words. Especially if we're coming from a place of wounding, and also the self-talk on this day. That would be Tuesday. As well, on that day, we have the Sun, which is in the sign of Cancer, is going to conjunct Jupiter. Now, for all intents and purpose, that's typically the luckiest day of the year, and one that we can see just the utmost in optimism, especially when these two planets, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. We want to take care of our home and our family. We feel really good about it. Our emotions are on a high. Everything is fabulous. The problem is both of those energies are quincunx Pluto. And Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius. And that is setting up a YOD that is definitely present during the new moon. Also on the same day when it should be the luckiest day of the year, and we've got this challenge between Chiron and Mercury and wanting to ease the suffering for ourselves and others. We also will have Mars in the sign of Virgo is going to quincunx Pluto, which is retrograde in Aquarius. Both, interestingly enough, we have Mars, quincunx Pluto, and as well Mars and Pluto were in opposition, creating all kinds of power struggles. And now Mars has moved forward enough, come out of those oppositions, but now that energy is quincunx or in conjunct. and no longer in opposition, but it's very challenging energy. We're going to have to pivot. They're no longer communicating, even in opposition. They're just not communicating anymore. So all of this energy is like power struggles. They're real. The power struggle is real. It's complex, but it's workable. This is a quincunx, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But we can work through this with authenticity. We can work through it with truth and taking small steps, because Mars is here too, taking small steps towards being practical in a very healthy way. Okay. Then on that very next day, which is Wednesday, we will have a new moon in the sign of Cancer at 6:31 a.m. here on the Eastern time zone of the United States. This energy is ruled by the moon, which is conjunct Jupiter. We just talked about the sun being conjunct Jupiter. Well, now the moon's jumping in and creating even more complexity and emotionality to this energy. And that energy is now square Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries as well, which was some of the energy last year or last week with our Jupiter square Saturn. And then, the sun joined that, and that's sun first squared Saturn, then the sun squared Neptune. That's a lot. And this is a time when we want to set a new intention. It's a new moon. We would like to start something anew. But as I mentioned, there are two YODs that are occurring at the same time as this new moon. Now, the first yod has Mars at the apex. Mars is in Virgo, wanting us to take healthy, practical steps forward. And then the energy that's quincunx, which is working together at the base, is Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries, and Pluto, which is in the sign of Aquarius. And Saturn and Neptune in Aries is trying to get us to really understand our pure essence, the responsibility of that, shedding any disillusionment relative to our pure essence. And Pluto in the sign of Aquarius is working with that pure essence, wanting us to get to our pure essence and understand our pure essence so that we can be woven into the collective and create that tapestry that's going to work. But we're not there yet. Hence this challenging, difficult energy with different elements. Yod number 2 has Pluto at the apex, which again, retrograde in Aquarius. Then we have Jupiter, the sun, and the moon with that new beginning wanting to take off. And that energy is at the base in sextile, working with Mars and Virgo, wanting us to take healthy, practical steps forward. So yet really, yod number 1, is I see this as an awakening of our pure essence, breaking free from barriers by taking practical steps that are heart-centered. And this first yod is definitely working with any areas where we are creating self-imposed limitations based on the manner in which we are perceiving things, judging things, and pivoting because of it, as well as any areas in our lives where our pure essence is being modified for some purpose. Maybe it's creative, I'm not sure, but we're not able to create from a place of pure essence if in fact there's some disillusionment there because we simply don't know our pure essence at that level. Now, yod number 2 wants us to set an intention for a new beginning. This is a new moon. We want to do it. We know even the practical steps. However, there's a hesitation here. It's not simple. It's not easy. We realize that there is a cause for hesitation. There's too much uncertainty. My comfort zone is nowhere to be found. I have no idea where it's at. It's gone. But one thing I do know is I have to trust the process. So if you are finding yourself in a situation where you want to set a new intention and you're feeling like, wow, this really sounds good, and you're hesitating, trust your gut. Definitely trust your gut. Trust the process. Come from a place of authenticity and truth and knowing your pure essence. Set that intention, because shortly thereafter we're going to have some very positive energy that's going to come in. We have learned the lessons of Pluto and Mars opposition. We've learned those lessons from last fall forward, actually late last summer forward, and now we can put them to good use. The very next day on Thursday, we will have Mercury, which is in the sign of Virgo at anaretic degree, sextile Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. I love this energy because this allows us to really expand and open ourselves to a higher understanding, perhaps through healthy detachment, taking steps of healthy detachment. Again, stepping back so that we can put all the finite details together, and it brings us into higher consciousness and processing that bring about new ideas. Now we're beginning to align with that new intention that we truly set for ourselves. In addition, the sun on this day, which is in the sign of Cancer, is going to sextile Mars in Virgo. Now that's that empowerment that wasn't quite ready to launch the day before. Now it perfects. And that empowerment of taking healthy, practical steps has combined with emotional grace. We have purposeful grounding here. This energy is being provided so that we can take some positive steps forward, even though it's complex, even though we may need to trust our intuition here. Then on Friday and Saturday this weekend, we will have Mercury, which is in the sign of Leo. And Mercury goes into the sign of Leo late on Thursday. And Mercury in the sign of Leo is very proud energy, very creative energy. It's the storyteller energy. It's somebody who, when they speak, it just captivates the room. Mercury and Leo energy can be extremely powerful. We want to make sure that we're leaning into the lessons that we learned when Mars was pivoting between Cancer and Leo, and make sure that we are coming from, especially when we're speaking and our mind is active, this is Mercury, that we're coming from a place of heart-centered consciousness and the courage that comes from heart-centered consciousness, not an ego-based means. Okay? So that Mercury in Leo is going to trine Saturn on Friday, then Neptune on Saturday. And that new direction is really starting to take form because we have sat with our pure essence. We've got some emotional stability here, and we can now feel more confident in the direction that we choose to head out in. We are regaining that sense of confidence and creating from that place of pure, authentic sense of self. I really like it. It's inspirational energy, that's for sure. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I thank you so much for joining me. I decided to use the Starseed Oracle deck. I thought with all of this YOD energy, we'd reach to the Starseed Oracle deck and try and gain some understanding from the great beyond. And the card that jumped out is Baby Steps. Let's see what the book has to say. Action. Follow your intuition before it makes sense. You're being called to take grounded action in response to your soul's calling, to start where you are and begin building a consistent way. So many people stop themselves from living a soul-led life because they're waiting to know the destination before taking the first step. But intuition doesn't work like that. Our soul is always calling us every moment of every day. The way to find yourself living in harmony with the cosmos is to listen to your soul's baby calls and whispers each and every day, and to take grounded action in the direction of those calls and whispers. You are being encouraged to start small, bite-sized, to put one foot in front of the other, to do one thing every day, to break things down into achievable tasks, Time on Earth goes slower than on other planets. This may cause frustration for starseeds, who can expect a faster pace of manifestation and thus give up before seeds begin to sprout. If you resonate with that, it's time to opt for consistency over urgency. Time to take baby steps in the direction of your calling. To remember that you don't need to have it all figured out or know exactly where the path is leading you. You don't have to know every single step along the way before you set out on your great journey. You just need to take the next step. Our Starseed Soul Inquiry. What's one simple baby step you can take in the direction of your soul's calling? Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked this video, please do click the like button. If you want to know when videos are being dropped, click the subscribe button and you will be notified when a video is dropped. You'd always like to hear from you, so if you have any comments or suggestions, post them in the comment box below. If you want to create with me, please do share this video with others. I hope you have a fabulous week of new beginnings. We may have to pause, we may have to take a beat, and get a greater understanding of exactly what it is that we want to extract from this without knowing outcomes, without projecting outcomes, and without trying to assess a situation before we take that baby step forward. Namaste.